Automated rules can be really helpful to you if you actually want to stop making decisions based on your emotions and lack of data so that you can move forward the rest of your business. One of the biggest things you can do with automated rules is decide what ads to have on, what ads to have off, and make sure that you are actually putting your best ads out into the marketplace every single day, every single minute of every single day. And there's somebody doing all that work and making that decision based off of math and business rules that you've defined 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They never make a mistake. They show up every single day. They never need a vacation. They never get sick, and they're absolutely free. If you're not using automated rules to turn your ads on and off based on trend analysis, let me tell you something. You are working way too hard to make sure that you make mistakes. And honestly, if somebody hasn't taught you how to do this stuff yet, I'm so glad you are here, because we are going to add more time to your day, more money to your pocket, and more confidence into your life, because you deserve it. Let's go. First off, I want to say thank you so much to everybody for getting through this channel. We've got over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're over 5,000 people on Twitter. We've got 75,000. All this thing started just a couple months ago. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. With all that being said, if you have any questions about this stuff, please feel free to comment below. Reply if you see this video someplace. If you want to share this with somebody else, tag me in it. I would love to know that. And if you do share this and you do tag me, I'll gladly give you 20% off any of the ebooks in Facebook Disruptor.com. By the way, go to facebookdisruptor.com if you want access to all of my ebooks. If you want to join the community so you can talk to lead marketers from around the world in a Slack group that's actually run by people making million-dollar decisions, not underpaid, poorly trained, mid-20s employees that never have run business. No slight against them, but if you're trying to see success from somebody that's never solved your problem before, you're not going to get an answer that's worth your time. Facebook Disruptor community is 100% the antithesis of that, and that's why it's so valuable. Anyway, if you like all of those things, please go to the site, check this stuff out. There's a course there. You can also DM me if you want to get involved in the Facebook Ads MBA program. I'm always taking applications. The next class is probably starting right around the corner. Let me know what I can do to set you up for success, because damn it, you deserve it. Let's get into it, though. Turning your ads on and off with automated rules. If you need any other questions on automated rules, check out this playlist. Okay, so now if you know me, you know I'm all about control campaigns. I'm all about creative testing, and I've talked to you all about how to do this testing, because I'm not one of those people who says test all the time, and then you say, well, how do you do that? And I'm like, no, I'm not one of those jackass Twitter guru, Facebook marketing, whatever the fuck scumbags out there. I'm the person that has taught the people that taught them, who they may or may not be paying attention to lessons. Honestly, if they're disappearing on you, it's because they haven't been paying attention. So when we're talking about this, one of the important things is not just making sure that you have the best ads, but making sure that the ads that are working are the ones that you're investing in. How do you scale your money towards your best ads? Well, you remove the worst ones. So many people teach this god-awful concept of isolating your winners and then exploiting as much as possible. Basically saying, hey, this thing has promise. Let me throw the world at it, break it entirely, and then complain when things don't work, because that's what people are supposed to do. No, that makes no fucking sense. So instead, what we can do is take a look at trend analysis to make high confidence decisions, to scale our ad spend towards our best investments in a way that we know is being done accurately, properly, and to our specifications 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Requires this much effort after you get it set up. Getting it set up might take you 5 minutes. You can quite legitimately and say it takes you a while because you need to learn something. Maybe you devote a whole hour to setting up that rule. And because of that, for the rest of your business, you're scaling your winners. You're eliminating your losers. You're saving hours of every single day, a week, month, year. And if you're going to pay yourself a reasonable CEO salary, a reasonable marketer salary, if you're making good money, which you should be, if by the time you're listening to these videos and paying attention to this stuff, you're probably running a 7 or 8 figure business, or you're making close to, if not more than 6 figures a year doing it for somebody else, your time is valuable. If you're spending your time making decisions and looking at data that is completely automatable, you're wasting your time. Okay, Let's get to it. How do we actually do this? Well, first off, we need to define what is allowable and what isn't when it comes to a CPA, cost per acquisition. We're talking about purchases, or CPL, cost per lead. Now, cost per lead is a bit of a misnomer because a lower cost per lead is actually generally a bad thing. What you need is actually a cost per overall conversion, because you should absolutely be tracking the conversion rate of the lead that you drive to the call to the person actually paying money. It's the cost per person paying money that you actually need to be tracking. That's a whole other conversation. We're going to have a whole other day. But by the way, if anybody ever comes to you and says, I can drive you leads for cheaper, you can hang up the phone on them, because they don't understand quality of business. So let's define what is an allowable CPA. And then I get the question, well, Facebook reporting's all off. I can't trust anything that happens. You know what? That doesn't matter. How much money did you spend today? How many sales did you get today? On average, what is your blended CPA? Now, there's a lot of talk out there with blended MER and blended ROAS. So basically, every expert that called me a troll since 2017 for teaching him to do this kind of thing for 4 years, they got mad at me for trying to tell them how to run a business. And now they're basically poorly quoting my words from 4 years ago and trying to bring it as elite new thinking. And they're still wrong, because I was wrong. And I've learned that lesson 3 years ago. We learned that blended CPA is actually what's important, not blended ROAS. And we proved it over hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. So again, if you listen to somebody say, well, blended ROAS is the way to go, understand that they are at best 3 years behind what you should be doing. At best. Odds are they're far worse than that. So we know what our blended CPA should be, because we've identified our total overall spend and our total overall sales week by week, month over month, to establish what does that number actually look like, and then what's our contribution by margin. And you're like, you don't know all this stuff, that's fine. We can at least go with, when you spend this much money on Facebook, you make this much sales in your store. What does that number need to look like for you to be happy? If you're spending $2,000 a day and your target CPA is $50, well, you get that because if I'm spending $2,000, I need to make 40 total sales on Facebook, because really that turns out to 50 to 75 sales in my store. And so I know what my Facebook number, whatever it tells me, but I know that basically based on Facebook's results, as long as I'm seeing a $50 CPA, as long as Facebook is showing me 40 sales every day, that actually means 65, 70, 80 sales in my store, and I'm completely happy. So even though Facebook's reporting is off, which is also bullshit, I'm still able to manage my business. Because platform CPA is a 100% high confidence data point that you can 100% be managing your business to, if you understand blended CPA. Now, if you have that, great. If you don't have it, we can even go on a binary decision of, did it get sales or did it not? If you're at a much lower spend level, or if you're just at a much different level of volume. So now we know what our goal is. Now that we know what our goal is, we can establish a trend analysis. Over the last 7 days, for instance, are we at that goal or no? Say our target cost is $50. Is this thing costing us more or less than 50? Binary decision, yes or no? If the answer is no, if the answer is, well, it's coming into like a 65, a 70, is that okay? Is the blended result of having this thing at 60 good because my ad set in general is coming in at a 45 and I'm okay? Odds are maybe the answer is yes. So what's an actual allowable? Understanding that swing. Maybe we add 10, 20% to this cost. We're saying, look, if you're not at 60, you're not good enough, because even you being in the balance, you being in the equation of what I need to succeed is not good enough. Good. Now we've got real data. Now we're actually managing Facebook like somebody that knows what the fuck they're talking about. Great. So an allowable CPA at this point might be $60. If we have an allowable CPA of $60, but over the last 7 days, this ad isn't delivering that, and it's spent, say, $500, like it has spent enough to get us to at least double-digit sales, and these thresholds always change. You got to kind of understand your business and make sure you know what these are, but it's also a little bit of trial and error. But You know, these are the types of things we go over in the MBA program. These are the types of things that I talk to in consulting. If you want to know this kind of stuff, we can absolutely get into it. And I would love to help you out with that. You can always ping me. And if you can't do those things, we can always do, you know, audits or whatever as well. But if you've established these, then it's like, okay, great. If you've spent enough to get 10 sales and you haven't even gotten 8, you're probably not good enough right now. There's some reason why things aren't good. I'm going to turn you off. Now, what we do is we also make a rule that says every ad that is eligible gets turned back on at midnight every single day. And then we have a rule that says any ad that is live, where over the last 7 days it spent enough to get 10 sales and it hasn't even delivered 8, we're going to turn that off. So it means that those two rules mean that in your control campaign, every ad that is active is getting either close to or better than your desired result. It also means that any ad that had a good enough investment for us to understand the data and didn't perform well enough gets eliminated. Now, if you're paying attention in the home game, you're going to see there's a wrinkle. What if it didn't spend enough? Well, then it doesn't trip the rule. And the reason that this is important is, well, if we turn it off, how does it ever get turned back on? Well, eventually, if you don't spend money over the last 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, when we're looking over the last 7 days, what was your spend? It's going to be less than that threshold, so you get turned back on. And you get a few more days to come back. And what happens is Facebook will either learn that you are good enough at doing your job that we're going to invest in you, or you're so bad, we just constantly never get investment. And Facebook will learn to not invest there, not because you've told it not to invest there, but because you've told it to invest in other places where it's getting more data and it's deciding that it's getting more consistency of information, has a higher confidence in delivering an overall positive user result while delivering you the lowest cost conversion, which is your objective, is so you can spend more money. You're training the system like a new dog. By the way, new puppy, Barkley. Let's see if we can get it to zoom in. Puppy, let's see. Yeah, it's a golden doodle. All right, anyway. With that being said, these are very simple rules that can 100% automate the available choices. Now, if something gets turned off constantly, you can go in there like once a week and just be like, man, this thing's just never getting spent. Great. Turn it off entirely. How do we do that? In our rule that turns on all the ads at midnight, let's turn on all the ads at midnight except for those that contain the name off or never turn on or whatever it is, some keyword. And then you just drop that keyword into the ad name. Now your ad, because it has that keyword, will never get turned back on. So you're not deleting ads, you're not turning ads off on and off manually. And the system is actually going around and saying what sales pitches are working, which ones aren't. And let's scale our spend, not by actually improving the budget, but by throwing our money at the best available choices because we remove the worst ones. And this requires this much time of your day. I don't know if you're seeing this number. This is a giant 0, right? This is a 0 on the screen. And if you're listening to the podcast, my apologies, you can't see it. 0 time every single day for the rest of your business. Because you will never have to make the decision again of, do I need to turn this ad on or off? Because it's not a decision that is a judgment call. It isn't. And with that, you can legitimately save hundreds of hours of work a year. How much is 100 hours of work a year where you're actually getting a better result worth to you? How much is it worth to you to save time and make more money? To me, I'd gladly pay the $0 that Facebook automated rules cost me. That sounds interesting to you? Let me know. Hey, by the way, YouTube thinks you might like this video here, and there's this playlist over here it likes, and if you really like this stuff, don't be shy. Go ahead and subscribe over there. And until next time, I'll see you on the internet. Once again, hi, I'm Charlie. Bye.